I think we're live. We are live. Welcome to another episode of After the Shoot. I am Nancy Nardi, and I am one of the co-founders of Seniors Ignite, and I am hosting tonight for Renee Bowen, who could not be here. We have a great show planned, and we actually have one more special guest that will be joining us shortly. And before I introduce our guests, though, I would like to give a shout-out to White House Custom Color and Sticky Albums for making After the Shoot happen. They are our favorite lab of choice. White House Custom Color is, and Sticky Albums is who all of our photographers use for their custom mobile apps. And they are a Minnesota-grown company, so I've got a lot of love for those guys. Tonight we are talking about reasons why clients may not book with you. You know, what are reasons why clients call and don't book? Is there something you're saying, something that's preventing people from closing the deal with you? Tonight's guest, I'm going to introduce you to our guest, and then hopefully I'll be introducing you to Steve shortly, who is a special guest who's joining us from Australia tonight.
Tomorrow. It's tomorrow in Australia.
Tomorrow. Actually, yes, it is. It's tomorrow. It's 11 a.m. in Australia, so it's the middle of his workday.
So if you're good and you talk to him nice, he might tell you the lottery winners. The lottery numbers.
Dude, that's awesome.
And I can see you all asking questions on the side. We will be answering questions as we can get to those. So if you have any questions for Steve or anyone else in the panel, let us know. Shout out. Give us a shout out. First guest on my left, on my very left, is Sherry. You all know Sherry. She's with us every single week.
Woo-hoo!
In Nebraska. She looks like she's editing
Sherry,
questions.
tell us about yourself.
The heartland of America. Tell me about yourself. So let's see. I am the owner of C. Phelps Photography. I've been shooting since I was a kid. I need to have a new puppy. I'll see if I can bring him down. His name's Abe, and he's a little 7-week-old chocolate lab. He's so cute. And I had the most amazing senior day. She has the best gap in between her teeth, and I loved it. Look, there's Steve.
Welcome
And
back, Steve.
Yay!
so that's about me. I have a puppy, and I'm super excited.
Steve, we are live, by the way.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, so you can start swearing anytime.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, Steve.
Matt. Matt is from Ellison Ragsdale Photography. They are a husband and wife team out in Colorado. Matt, tell us about yourself.
So exactly what you said. My wife and I own Allison Ragsdale Photography, and I do all the marketing for our company. And yeah, we live in awesome Durango, Colorado.
Jen, we all know you too.
Hi.
Introduce yourself.
Oh, sorry.
Tell us about yourself.
Jen Bassford.
That we don't know.
I'm an only child. I got married in Italy when I was 20. I'm a merit scholar, and I have an MBA.
Tammy's coming to us from Arizona. She also is one half of a husband and wife team that make up Largo Photography. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Tammy.
We are in Chandler, Arizona, own Largo Photography. Oh, and today is my son's birthday. So
Ooh, happy birthday.
he's probably not watching, but, you know,
Which one?
Treston,
Yay, happy birthday, Treston.
the big 9.
Yay.
Ooh.
That's it.
Wait, he's 9 today?
Yes.
My little Reese turns 9 at the end of the month.
Already.
I know, right?
July's a big birthday month.
It
At
is.
least the 3 girls it is.
It is rough here.
Everyone's birthday, except for Reagan, is in July.
Right.
So our special guest tonight is Steve, and he just joined us. He is broadcasting live from Australia, and it is actually Wednesday in Australia, so I believe it's 11 a.m. And we met Steve this year at WPPI, and Renee Bowen and I and Jen Bassford sat down with Steve and just loved him. He had just a wealth of information. We just immediately connected with them, and Renee was super bummed that she couldn't be here tonight because you were going to be on. So she says hi, by the way.
Oh, hey, Renee. She sent me a message, actually. That was good.
So tell us about yourself, Steve.
Okay, was originally a chartered accountant who bought into photography as a business. So I bought an existing studio, and I've been in the business of photography rather than a photographer. I can shoot, but I think of myself more in the business of photography for, well, it's embarrassing, just over 20 years. Grew my businesses to, I had 3 studios in the end, and about 8 years ago sold up and have been coaching and mentoring photographers on the business side of photography for 8 years and running workshops and changing people's lives and creating some amazing studios across Australia and New Zealand, and now America.
All right. Well, tonight,
not much else to say.
well, I mean, I was poking around your site recently, and you had a lot of interesting stuff on your site, and I'm going to post some links for our audience in the comments tonight when I'm back in on the event page. So I'll post some reference links for you later. We are talking tonight about why people didn't book, and I'm going to start with Steve. One of the things I came across was this awesome video that you had done that talked about reasons why clients did not book, and you gave one single big reason. You said it was our inability to listen to our clients when we pick up the phone.
Yeah, I think that when we pick up the phone, we think it's our duty to speak, and really communication is more about listening than speaking, and being able to ask questions that really challenge our clients' thinking and really begin to allow them to see again who they are from a whole new perspective. Because as we go through life, our dreams are smothered by various people in our lives, and if we can get people to talk about themselves, then people believe that we're interested in them, and we should be interested in them as photographers, and it really does help build that connection. And when I've been coaching and running seminars, I ask this question, why would you pick a photographer? And the biggest thing that people say is that they're looking for a connection. And I think that a lot of the times we forget that when we pick up the phone to connect with our clients and see them for who they are. I think that a lot of people are more focused on showing themselves off as the photographer, and not so focused on exploring who that client is, what motivates them, what do they love, what's their joy in life, and exploring that with them. So I think it's a huge thing with booking people. It's imperative. How is that?
How many? It's awesome, and just out of curiosity, does everyone here track how often, what their booking percentage is? How often, what percentage of people that actually call you? What percentage of those do you actually close a deal on?
I used to.
I don't track it, but I would have to say that for every phone call that I get, typically people are ready to book by the time they call me. Usually because they hear from me by word of mouth, and then they go to my website and they see everyone that I talk to that I say, why are you calling me? What made you decide to call me? They always say, because your images look so different than everybody else. So I think by the time they call me, they're already ready to book. And I would say probably every year I have about 5 phone calls that maybe call and say, I just want some pricing information, and then they don't talk to me, they don't call me back. They don't book.
I actually make all of my clients track those figures, and we have a booking conversion sheet. And it really does depend upon the marketing that they've done and where the leads have come from. But in most cases, when somebody has initiated a conversation, so whether they've emailed and we're responding to that email, or whether it's a call that's coming in, we tend to book about 92% of those incoming people, because, and I'm talking from a place where they've been really well trained on how to book people and to engage people in that conversation. When it's a lead that is more of a cold lead, that we may have done an expo or something, and they've left something for us to follow them up on, it tends to be about 30%. So they're the sort of figures that we seem to see across a number of studios.
Is that business model specific?
Can you repeat that? Sorry, Jen?
Yeah, is that business model specific, meaning high volume, mid-road, low volume? I mean, or is that over like in general, by the time they get to that point where they're calling, you want it at
Well,
about 92%.
is between five and 15 clients per week. Is that high volume?
Like shooting between 5 and 15?
Yeah.
I would say that's high mid volume.
High mid volume. So it's around
Shooting,
five people.
High volume would
15
be
people.
more like 5 a day.
Yeah. No, I don't have any clients that do 5.
Okay, so
Five
that's
per
like
day.
high mid volume.
Yeah.
That's good.
You know, Amanda asked kind of an interesting question. She said, how much of your booking ratio has to do with price? They just cannot afford you. I'm the most expensive photographer in my area. They all want me. They just can't afford me versus your client insight.
I think that's absolutely true. I think that's a lot of people. I think that's the reason why they don't call me back, because they talked to me initially about what the investment's going to be. And you know, and I know that the model is supposed to be when people call and say, what are your prices? You say, well, what are you looking for? You're trying to find out more about them. But there are those clients that just like, what are your prices? And for those people, they really are just price shopping. And if that's the case, you know what? Honestly, I don't want to work with you either, because I don't want you to come to me because I fit your budget. I want you to come to me because you love my work. You know, I wouldn't I wouldn't commission a piece of art because I can afford the artist. I would commission a piece of art because I love their work, and whatever it costs, I would save up for it, or I would just have it in the bank. It doesn't matter, but I'm choosing an artist based on their artwork, not how much they cost. So I won't be valued. I'll be fighting to be valued the whole time, and I don't want to have to fight to be valued.
So one of the things
I agree with that.
So one of the things that we do, it's kind of, is that I do some A/B testing on our website in terms of what amount of information I put in front of my clients in terms of what they need to know to make a decision to call me. And I think sometimes you can put too much on your site, and then they can make a decision and just basically click off. Or there's that fine balance of where they have enough information where they call you, and then you're just converting them. And then I think you can get your conversion rate a lot higher if you qualify some customers coming in as well.
Yeah. Yes.
Tammy, what about you?
Can I add?
Oh, absolutely.
No, I was just, when you mean qualify your clients, are you talking about pricing or?
Well, do you think how much of the clients that don't book you, do you think it has to do with price?
A bit of it. You know, with a lot of our calls lately, they're more of that connecting with our clients and getting them kind of. I forgot what I was going to say. I was still thinking about Matt's question when he, or not Matt's question, what Matt had said earlier. He does something on the website or something like that, but
Pre-qualifies them.
Yeah, and I think he said he does some split testing too. Matt's kind of a geek. In a good
Can I throw in?
Absolutely. Go ahead, Steve.
I think when we're booking clients, we need to be marketing to have a good number of leads, and then it's not about booking the client. It's about finding out something about the client and really filtering out who you want to work with and who you don't want to work with. So it's not so much as to whether they book you. You've really got to work towards being in a position where you've connected so well with a client that you can see that they're the right fit for you. I think that most of the price issues, in my experience with dealing with various photographers, is coming from the photographer themselves. And I get all of my clients to record their conversations on bookings with their clients, so then I can critique the calls. And in most cases, the photographers are the ones that are bringing up the price well before the clients, and making it an issue because the tone in their voice, the tonality in their voice completely changes when they're mentioning their prices, and they've actually made it sound expensive themselves. So then the client's reading that tonality and backing away because we, as an industry, are not comfortable with our own pricing. So that's got a lot to do with the client's perception of whether we are expensive or not. Just they're really a lot of the times reflecting our own persona and our own belief through through our tonality. So it's really important to come across really confidently. And really, clients are conditioned by retail to ask that question. They don't know what else to ask. They don't know what to ask when they first are ringing to engage a photographer. So they launch into how much is it? But what they really mean is, I don't know what to ask.
I agree.
So you take it that way. They just don't know what to ask.
I think one of the questions also that's really interesting that a lot of people don't ask is they don't ask about past experiences for people having their pictures taken, and they just assume, they make lots of assumptions about people's past experiences with photographers. And I think if you can ask them questions about that, they can tell you lots of things, like where have they been? Maybe they haven't even had professional pictures done for 18 years. So they're, just by asking some simple questions like that, then you can, that can drive the conversation a lot for sure.
Mm.
Yes.
Do you guys, I mean, do you guys all work off of a script? You know, like a phone, like a cheat sheet for your phone, for the phone calls when you answer, or you just kind of wing it?
No, I don't work off a script because I feel like every call is different. That's, you know, it's, I guess that I would equate that to, and maybe this is a cop-out, but I would equate that to doing every single makeup session with all of my seniors the exact same. You know, every face is different, every need is different, and I think that there's some people that come in and they're terrified to get their portraits taken because they've had bad experiences. I've had moms that get on the phone with me and they're immediately, like, just angry and hateful because they've had a bad experience with another photographer in town, and they assume that I'm going to be the same way. And so I could take that, and, you know, you couldn't fit that into a script. And so I have to find out what is that root fear that they're dealing with, and then listen to what they have to say about it, and then try to let them know that I'm not like the other photographers. This is a different experience. And so just like they can't equate me to the other photographers. And so I think that to go off a script is hard. You know, it's not a procedure. It's not a procedure manual. Talking to clients is a relationship building, and relationships can't be diminished to a procedure. That's my opinion.
That's a good point, and you know, and I know Steve, you talked about this too, about, you know, asking questions and how people sounded kind of like robots when they answered the phone.
Yeah. I think having anchoring questions or some leading questions that, and you need to follow a path, and you need to know what that path is. So usually the call is divided into 4 or 5 parts, whereby there's the warm-up, and it's almost like when you first meet somebody, you've just got to get to know them a little bit, and then there's the segment where you're starting to discover something about each other, and that's the discovery part of the call. Then the next part is, you know, getting them really excited about what you have to offer and your product that you have available, which is really important to do on that call as well. And then there's that bridge, you know, when they're in that peak of association and peak of excitement, that's the bridge that leads you into, you know, naturally saying, well, something like that's going to cost $1,200 or whatever it is when you've quoted it, once you've discovered what they want. And as long as you follow a path that leads you to a destination, you can have a few anchoring questions that you know work for you for your niche. So, you know, in seniors, you know, what's a great question that, you know, you can ask a senior, and, you know, that can be your sort of staple diet, but then it's an introduction. And then where your client takes you from there, you should then be, you know, using active listening to then draw out from the client more and more the specifics, and by listening to them, you should be able to find a path that is going to be meaningful to them. So a script, if you're using a script, it's more about you. It can never be about the client, and we should be here for our clients. And I think if we're here to redefine, and we should be here to redefine what professional photography is to our clients, then whatever service they've received in the past from other photographers is totally irrelevant, and we should be setting a whole new standard, I think, as an industry, because most people that, you know, I've ever engaged with, and I think I've sold I can't even begin to imagine how many thousands of people that I've done design consultations with. All of them had a story. Not many of them were great when they've had to deal with other people in our industry. So I think we need to redefine what that standard is and really set ourselves apart, where whatever experience that they've had before is totally irrelevant to what they're going to get from you. Did I sidetrack then?
Not really.
That's good.
Not really.
So you talked about your anchor questions, which I think is really important, but also the path that you're going down. And so one of the path that we're trying to get to is to invite them into our studio for a consultation, because I feel like a lot of times the phone call it's really impersonal, and it's hard to have a personal conversation on a phone, but it's a much easier to get to know somebody in person. And so one of the things that we're doing is we're driving the phone call to a consultation so that we can actually sit down, meet with them, see their mannerisms, see their body language, and it says a lot about where they're coming from and what they're expecting and stuff like that as well. And I feel like we can learn a lot more about our clients in person than we can on the phone.
Do you require all of your clients to come in for a consultation?
Yeah, it's a must for us, just because just what we've dealt with in the past. I don't know if it's the right answer, but that's what we do.
Okay. Someone just asked a great question here. I want to kind of bring this up because I think it's a great point, because with high school seniors, we kind of have two clients. And so Hannah asked, how do you correspond with seniors when they contact you to book instead of the parent contacting you to book? I've had several seniors email me with interest in booking, and once I inform them that I will need to book with a parent, they never hear back from them. Because when they have, you need the parent on the phone to book. Or I don't know, do you guys book just the senior, or do you require both?
You know what? I would rather talk to the senior. I just talked to a senior the other day after a conversation with a brilliant person I met over, like Google Plus. I had a conversation with this brilliant person. They were telling me about how to get to know the senior, and so I had this conversation with this senior, and I, for the first time, started asking the questions like, "Tell me your story. Like, what do you want out of your senior portraits? What do you love to do? If you were on a desert island and you could only bring one piece of music, and you have to think about that." Like, I love talking to the senior because you hone right into what they're looking for, and really, I'm going to be working with that senior. Yes, I want to make mom happy, but I will tell you, if I can capture the inner spirit of that senior, mom is going to be dazzled. And so if I can hone in on that senior, and so when I was talking to that senior, I asked them all the questions, and she was like, oh my gosh, she was so excited. Like, she was telling me all the answers. And so I love booking seniors. And then I tell them, I'm like, here's the deal. I totally want to work with you. I know you want to work with me, but the only way that we can do this is if your parents call me within 3 days, because otherwise my system kicks you off, and I don't want that to happen. I know you don't want that either. So it is imperative that you have your mom call me in 3 days.
Okay, I want to interject here real quick. So because when you first started talking, Sherry, I'm like, hell no, I'm not talking to the senior. But I see what you just did. Okay, you really kind of pre-consulted the senior on the phone, right? Steve, is this where I'm going? Like, she talked to the senior, she engaged, she connected, she created that relationship, she got the story, she did all that. The senior's excited. Now you're ready for mom, okay? And separate conversation, but that's what we talk about with marketing in the senior portrait industry, which is different from many other industries in that you have, those two generations there. You have to market to one and close the other, meaning you have to bring a parent in at some point, no matter what, except in that rare instance where you have, a senior that's emancipated. But separate from that, you have to. And you want to get them bought in as well. But what Sherry did is and this is interesting to me, like I'm picking up on this, she talked to that senior. She made that connection. They're BFFs now, or whatever it is. They've connected.
BFFs. I'm like, you show up at my studio, you better have that Starbucks in hand because you love Starbucks. And if you don't, I'm going to drop kick you on my front porch. And she's like, oh my God, I'll totally have Starbucks in my hand. Like, she and I are best friends now.
Yeah, because in general, we will never talk to the senior first. In general, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's different situations, but this is intriguing because we always sell the parents on the phone. And, I mean, we have a pretty good conversion rate with our phone calls. So, I don't know, I find that interesting that, you're really doing the same thing.
You are doing the same thing because you're selling the parents through the senior. So she's
Yeah.
going to go back to her mum all excited, and you've got to call. This is just going to be amazing. And so it's doing the same thing. The only thing that I would add maybe is that if we are redefining the service that we're giving to our clients, I think you should be asking that senior for, hey, give me your mum's number. This is so exciting. I just want to talk to her. What's the best number to call her? And then I think we should be calling, because anybody that gives 6-star service would never expect the client to do any work. And them picking up the phone and finding the time is making them do work.
That's
So it's part of the service.
To call your mom. What's a good time to call your mom? Let her know I'll be calling, so at least you have a 50% chance.
Yeah, so when can you speak to your mum next?
Don't have a great time. If I pick up the phone and I call Rita and I'm like, hey Rita, I just had the most amazing conversation with your daughter, and I get an answer machine and I'm like, hey Rita, this is Sherry with C. Phelps Photography. I just had the most amazing conversation with your daughter. We totally connected about our senior portraits, and I'm super excited to work with her. I need to talk to you because we need to get some details ironed out in order for her to move forward. And I know she is super excited. The best time to call me would be this time. And now the mom is super excited because she's listening to this conversation, this message about how, oh, you just talked to my daughter and you're so excited, you've already become besties and she loves Starbucks. I'm totally going to call you. In fact, her dad called me tonight and he's like, apparently I need to get you some money because my daughter really wants to shoot with you. And so I've already got parents that are like, can I please give you my money? And it's not that I'm trying to, like, I don't feel bad about it because it's true. Like, yes, I need your payment. But the senior is, and it was the first time I've ever done that. And it's a totally different mindset for me and trying to get the story before we shoot. I'm telling the story. That's what I do. I'm a storyteller. So why not talk about the story on the phone? And I think what Steve said to begin with about being quiet and listening, I've always said, here's what I do, here's what I offer, here's what you can expect. But who cares? Who cares what I offer and what I do and what you can expect? I want to know what you want me to do, what you expect from me, and what you want me to offer you so I can create this experience for you. I'm giving you your experience, not my experience.
Sherry, I'm renaming you Pretty Woman. No, okay, so I want to ask one question to Steve here because I think this is a question that a lot of new people or people that are struggling a lot want to say. It's not a question for me. I just want to hear your side of it. So people call, how much are you? Like you mentioned earlier, how much are you? How much are you? Okay, just because they're conditioned to ask that. In the senior portrait industry, 5-10 years ago, it used to be the joke that people would call and say, how much is an 8x10? I swear to God,
they still ask me that. How much are your 8x10?
That's like a test in school, which I came up with the best answer. We don't sell 8x10, so that segued for us into where we were headed at the time. But So, okay, so Steve, I'm calling you. You own this phenomenal business that I either heard about, want to go to, whatever, and I'm, how much is whatever. I want to talk price. What's the first thing you're going to do right there? How are you going to lead that into something? The first thing
first of all, I'm going to acknowledge it, by saying that's fantastic. In order for me to tell you exactly how much this is going to cost, I just need to talk to you about what you might want. So then that way I can give you an accurate estimate of what you might be spending with us. Is that okay?
I just want, a couple 5x7s and then, 7x10 for ground.
So can I ask you, why do you think that you're wanting 5x7?
7x10,
You can deal with that. You need to find out why they want them and whether that's a specific, whether they haven't actually thought about it or whether it's totally about that well, I just want the cheapest product. And at that point, I wouldn't exit them because I don't believe that the right client is out there. I think that the right clients are made. And the right clients are discovered. They don't know they're the right client for you, and you don't know whether you are the right client for them. You are the right photographer for them. It's through this conversation and this discovery that you discover each other and you become valuable to each other. So until you can take them through that experience, they can't possibly value that 8x10 or that 5x7 or a collection for $3,000. They can't value it because you haven't taken them on a journey. And you need to be honest, because can you honestly tell them how much it's going to cost them when they walk in until you understand who they are, what you're going to be shooting, whether you need to invest in any props or whether they have to invest in anything to bring into the shoot. Until any of that's sorted out, you can't possibly even begin to tell them. So why as an industry do we lie to them by saying, well, an 8x10 is going to cost $150 or however much you charge for an 8x10, when we don't know? What if they want us to travel, out of a specific area because they have a specific location that they want you to shoot in, and you're going to charge them more? Until we've discovered the meaning behind that location and everything that we need, then we're honestly lying to them. So my, stand on it is, don't lie. Find out, take them on a journey, explore each other, and from there, once you've discovered the style of their home and the style of their furniture, where they're going to hang it in their home, and then you can recommend the perfect product for them, that's the only time you can then quote them on what they might be spending with you.
Agreed. Good job.
So, Steve, what are some of the lies that you think photographers commonly tell their clients?
Oh, well, there's lots. This is not a bag out about photographers. But as an industry, because we don't know what a client wants, by telling them a price before we discover what their needs are, we're effectively deceiving them into believing they're going to come in and buy an 8x10. If you believe that sending somebody a price list is covering the pricing issue, you're deceiving them as well. Because I don't know how many times or how many studios I've walked into and they say, oh, but we sent them a price list. The clients, half the time when I look at that price list, I don't understand it. So if it's not simple and clear, it's being deceptive. If you believe that you're sending out a price list and people actually get it, you're being deceptive. So why not take them on a journey, find out exactly what they want, and just be upfront and tell them the price. And we've quoted people on the phone $3,000, $1,500, $2,000 for something, but because they've totally fallen in love with what we're going to create for them, and we've triggered emotions that they haven't felt for years. And I had one client last week ring me and she said, look, I did what you said, and I rang her father because she didn't believe her father cared, and he was in tears, and he's been trying to reach out to her for the past 15 years because he's been working so hard but doesn't know how to say he loves her anymore. And you've reconnected this family. How much is that worth? Would they not spend $3,000 on something, or $5,000 or $10,000 on something that anchors a feeling that brings them back together? But it's only once we start to have these conversations with people that people can then begin to perceive how valuable they are. And she was, the actual senior was in tears because she never thought he cared. So it's just changing the value. Are you shooting an object, your senior, and are you lighting just the external shell, or are you totally understanding it only from her perspective? Or, in my mind, how can you shoot something that's three-dimensional if you don't understand what mum sees in her daughter and what dad sees in her daughter? Because usually, seniors are in a fragile part of their life, and their self-esteem is not, there are those that are super confident, but most of them are quite damaged or vulnerable. So can you really see who she really is just through her eyes? Because she's the worst judge of herself. Whereas if we took mum's perspective and dad's perspective and tried to engender some of those things that they see in her child into the shoot and into her personality and allow her to see that come through, that person then walks out a completely different person. So it's not about price, it's about adding value to your clients. So, there's so much stuff on pricing on the forums, I'm just ready to gag.
Yes.
It's just ridiculous. Why are we talking about raising our prices and lifting our prices and my clients don't value me? Where are we talking about how much value that we are adding to our clients, and how can we continue to add value to people's relationships with themselves, with their family. That's where the value is, and people will pay huge amounts of money for that.
Well, let me ask you this, without getting too far off track. You mentioned the price thing and bringing price into the equation before they know much about you. So what happens if someone goes to your website? I mean, should someone have any prices on their website? Because what if not having the prices, say, out there, you know, even just session prices, prevents people from calling you? Do you believe that happens?
None of my clients have pricing. We're talking portraits, so obviously because we're in Seniors Ignite. So I think for weddings, I think you need to have something, but I don't believe for portraits that you do, because people don't understand the value of portraiture. And I think that a lot of photographers don't understand the value of portraiture.
Agreed. Agreed.
So until we lift the value and we lift the standard, then putting a price up is just, really? They don't get it. So
what about session prices?
Again, how valuable is the session? Because if you were to ring me and I had this conversation with you, how much is that session worth to you compared to somebody else? Like if they're just comparing price shopping and they want the cheapest one, then they're not going to call me and say, great, that's a filter. But
right.
I don't believe that they're in any position to decide yet, because the industry is so embryonic in its development of the true value of photography right now, that there's just no way for people to understand how to value that session price either.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this, because this happens, and you said, and Matt talked about getting him into the studio. One of the things I think that's a challenge now is technology and seniors that want to text you, and hey, I want to book a session, and they want to completely sidestep. People don't talk on the phone anymore. They want to just text you and come in. How do you deal with that?
We don't shoot anybody unless we've talked to them on the phone, and we would use texting to encourage them to call us. But statistically, this is a personal thing, whether you want them to come into the studio or not. So, most of the clients that I work with originally start that way, but if you get really good on the phone, statistically, it doesn't change the booking rates and it doesn't change the average sale. The only difference is your personal belief and your personal some people are better on the phone and some people are better in person, so you're just working with your own personality.
And it goes back to what you're saying, Steve, with confidence. And so like one of the things, we're just way more confident in person than we are on the phone, and so we're going to play to our strengths and have them in.
Yeah.
I don't think, and it's totally. That's us, not our customer. And I think one of the things, the sooner you can identify in your business what's you and what is your client, then you can actually make much smarter decisions. But that's on us. We're just more confident in person.
Yeah, and I think you need to play to your strengths. But I think that you also need to be aware that if you were to build up that confidence on the phone, that you could save yourself a hell of a lot of time.
I agree.
We use the client coming to us as an extra hurdle. That if it's a client that we're thinking, we're not sure, maybe not right, like the one that Sherry talked about before, definitely is probably going to be a great client. But if there's one that we're thinking is borderline, then that's sort of the extra hurdle that we would say to them, look, we want to meet with you in order to show you our product and to get some more information out of you. But if you've got somebody that we've taken through this conversation, like the example that I've just given you, and you still ask them to come in, by the time they've come in, they're so pumped, they're so excited, they've already done the shoot in their mind, they've already hung wall product in their mind before they've even come and seen you. So really, by the time they've come and seen you, it really is just a formal, hey, here I am, and you'll find your booking rates will increase, and they've had a lot more time to think about their product, which means that they've had more time to save for it too.
I have a question. Nancy, pick me.
Go.
Okay, Steve, so let's say, okay, so you get the phone call and you talk to them on the phone, and you're kind of like, I'm a little shady about this. We need to come in for a phone or for an in-person consultation. So they come in for the in-person consultation because you're really like, I don't know that this is something I want to work with. So they come in for their in-person consultation, and it's bad. Let's just say you're like, I see ASCAT written on the wall, and it's going to be bad, it's going to be a tragedy, and it's going to be one big headache after the next. How do you professionally say, and this goes for weddings too, because there's a lot of weddings that, like, people want to book me for weddings, and I'm like, I don't work with everybody for weddings. So how do you professionally say thank you, but no thank you, without sounding like you're a pompous ass? Well,
that's a great question.
That would be like, Susie.
My first response to that would be, you need to record some of these in-person sessions and just make sure that you're not being the pompous ass that's created that person.
Let's just say it's shit.
Okay.
Shit. Like,
well, that's step one.
I want to work with.
Big assumption, but let's move to that.
But okay, so that's in that case, usually they would be feeling exactly what you're feeling. They're not feeling the connection. And I would normally exit it saying, look, normally there's a lot of things that are unresolved in those sort of cases. So I would say, look, these are some of the things that I think you need to think about before we even begin to think about booking this shoot. So maybe you need to have a think about X, Y, Z. I need to have this, and this information. How about you get back to me when you've given these other things more of a think?
Like
that's
what?
An easy way.
I'm dying to know. What are the things?
It's like what you said. Every conversation's different. So in most cases, the reason you're not feeling it is because they're not really giving you deep enough answers. And usually, they'll give you the I don't know, like I don't know. And the thing with I don't know is they do know, but they've gotten away with it for their whole lives. So they're the sort of things that you can then say, you need to think about this, and before we can proceed, I need this information. I don't feel as though we have enough information to proceed. And usually these sort of people, it's all too hard, and they'll move on and find somebody else anyway. They're not feeling the connection, so they want to exit as well. So you've just given them a gate that they can slip through. The other thing is, I've said to some people as well, look, I don't think we're the right fit for you. I've got the name of this guy who I think would be the perfect photographer for you, and we used to feed probably another 2 or 3 other local photographers in our local area because they just weren't our client. So I would recommend somebody else who I knew would value that person, because to them, hey, an extra $500 was perfect, but it's not about the money. I want to photograph people, or I want my team to photograph people with a soul. I don't want them to just light a physical object. I want them to understand what makes them tick. I want them to understand emotionally what drives them, so we can bring 3 dimensions into this experience for them. So I had some cards of some other photographers that all they do is photograph. They photograph mostly for themselves. They do a great job of lighting and posing, but they're really not interested in connecting with the client. That person is not interested in connecting with the photographer. They just want their exterior photographed. Great, here's the right person for you. I'm not that person.
So how many?
That works.
Well, Steve, you said you had like a 92% booking rate, so you don't feel like you really ever get any phone calls from unqualified clients. You feel it's really it's up to you to close the deal. If they don't book with you.
I don't struggle with connecting with people, and I think that I've done a lot of personal work on communication skills. I've done a lot of NLP work, so it's not. I always find a way to make people connect and to get them to connect to themselves by controlling language. Language is really important. So
That's
you know, once,
it was my language.
It was truly your language.
And it's always the language.
Colorful language.
Colorful. And that's what sort of kept it so interesting. So
It kept us there all day.
And that's why I believe that the right clients aren't out there, the right clients are made. And I think that for the people that aren't making their clients that, you know, yes, they'll have to filter through maybe 7 or 8 clients before they get to the one that's right for them. But I believe there is a hidden jewel in everybody, and it's my job to find it.
Right. And
so the better we can get at finding that, then, you know, it's easy to get that 92%.
Matt, what was your question, Matt? This is fantastic. I feel like we have like a hypodermic needle tapped into this brain. What's your question, Matt? Because then I
didn't realize this was all going to be directed at me.
It is. We completely planned it before you came on board. That we were all sitting here and listening.
I was sworn to secrecy, Steve. I was sworn to secrecy.
Oh my God. Okay. Bring it on.
Now I forgot what my question was going to be. Now I totally forgot.
Okay, so here's my question. So here's my fear. I have had some fantastic clients who have a lot of room for some improvement opportunities. Let's just put it that way.
And you said you've already answered the question in your first line.
Okay, so, well, I know, right? So he's like, no, don't think you know me because I'm a woman. You don't know me. So here's my question.
You just said, here's my fear.
Steve versus Sherry. Everybody sit back and grab a drink.
But they love the images. They felt entitled. They didn't think that they were a difficult client because apparently they just get whatever they want whenever they want it. But I know that I never want to work with them again. So, okay, are you okay, Jen?
I'm a little choked up by your commentary, but I'm okay.
So they're like, oh my gosh, you know, I cannot wait for my daughter who's in sophomore year to come to you. And I'm like, don't call me. So when they call me in 2 years and I already know the experience, do I not answer the phone? And they're like, hi, this is Rita. Remember talking? And I'll be like, this is Rita. Oh, like, do I like pretend I'm not American? What do I do? Like, how do I not talk to them, but not be like a jerk and be like, okay, you were kind of an asshat last time. I don't want to do round 2. Because I know it's not going to be a matter of answering the questions and get back to me. It's going to be like, I don't want to work with you, but I know you loved your images, but I don't want to work with you.
Confirm to Matt.
You know what? Right. If you have that, if you have that experience,
Colorado, about 14 hours up the road.
If you have that experience,
chocolate. It makes me eat chocolate.
If you have that experience, give me a call and I'll teach you how to deal with eagles. Because what you described was a total eagle. And there are ways that you need. Sorry?
I love eagles.
Really? Yeah, eagles are, you know, eagles I think are fantastic, but you need to know how to work them. And, you know, they want to be set up for a challenge. They want you to set them up a challenge, and you need to set them up with a challenge that they have to win. So if you understand the game, it's not about whether they're the right or wrong client for you. It's about whether you have adapted the game to suit that particular client type. So it doesn't tend to happen once you understand the different personality types that our business attracts, and you adapt your experience, your photographic experience, to that client type.
So if she's in Wonder Twin Powers and she wants to form of an eagle, I need to form of like a bucket of water and take her down.
That doesn't tend to work because it just reinforces to them and makes them more powerful. So what you need to do is not enter a challenge with them at all, and you need to set up a new challenge that is going to be beneficial for both of you. So easy to, you know, this is like a day's training. So it's hard for me to sort of just explain it like that.
$2,500 right here, for real.
Sorry?
Go ahead. Tell us, Steve.
Wait, Steve, did you just say there's no easy button?
There's no easy button.
Damn it.
And I think that it's about taking responsibility and believing that it's not the client. It's up to us to adapt their experience or our experience with them. And I think that there's, you know, for me, we need to take every client on a photographic experience, on a photographic journey. It's not a shoot. Like, I so hate it when photographers talk about the shoot, because the shoot is only about you as a photographer and me fulfilling my needs as somebody that has to fulfill, I don't know, I need to win an award, or I took the best shot, or oh my God, look at my lighting, I need to post something on
Facebook.
Yeah, I need,
Sometimes, Steve, when I take a picture, I just have to I have to sit back and look at the image on my camera and be like, I just shot that shit right there.
But that's okay. I'm not taking that away from you. But a photographic experience is not just the opening and closing of a shutter. It's not just that time that they're coming in to be photographed. The photographic experience starts from the beginning of them reading your marketing, and you're taking them on a journey, and that journey needs to be, it's my mission to make people stop and reconnect and pay attention again, because this thing, where's mine? I put it away. This thing is a total distraction to people's lives. You see them out for dinner and they're on Facebook, or they're not interacting with each other again. So making people stop.
Sorry, Steve.
Making... We'll just wait for Jen. What do you think?
I know, just hold on. Must be really important. No, agreed.
So there's a lot of families that haven't had a genuine conversation for a really, really long time. And if we can foster that and make that happen for them and bring people together, and the result is some beautiful artwork that they want for their wall as a reminder that this is who we really are. This is us at Grassroots. This is how much I value you. Then we're beginning to produce something really valuable for our clients. And that situation that you just described, Sherry, just wouldn't happen if that's how. So
Steve, one of the questions I think you're answering that I hear a lot, the second question besides price that I see on every forum is about whether you want the dad there or whatever, And I think if you, like, when you're talking about creating the experience and adding value, like, and having the conversation and taking them on a journey, like, the whole family's involved in it, then everybody's on board, And I think.
That's being there.
And then I'm going to transition that same statement to the other thing I hear a lot is people being mad at their clients because they only come in and spend X amount of money, but they drove up in a brand new Lexus, or they went on vacation the week before, or they have a boat or whatever. And like you said, if you take them on this journey and you create that, I don't know, create the word, but you build in that value, then they may spend all that vacation money on you. And so you can't be mad if someone spends money somewhere else because they may want to connect with their family on vacation and you weren't able to take them on a journey so they can connect through the portraits.
Well, when people spend money on a vacation, how much are they spending? You just said, they want to spend their money on a vacation. What are they buying when they go on vacation?
They're buying experience and memories and Thanksgiving conversations in 10 years.
And they're buying time. They're buying time and they're buying conversation. So a lot of families will spend 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 grand to go on vacation, or 2 grand, or 5 or 3,000. So we are offering the same experience if we choose to say, hey, stop and pay attention to each other. Let's buy you some time. We're going to ask you some really deep questions in order for you to then reconnect with each other. And we're going to buy time for you. At the end of this journey, when they see these photos and they have talked about what that smile means to them, and the fact that when she genuinely smiles, there's that little crease that happens just under her nose, and what Mum really loves about that. And Dad has been able to offload all of this guilt, because men have a lot of guilt about not being there through them growing up, and we do, and missing out on all of that, that if we allow them the chance, and this may be their only chance in the whole life to express how they feel, then there's no barriers. The gates are open, and they want to prove to their family, how much they love them and how much they've sacrificed, and that it's all worthwhile. So, I want clients to have a reminder and access to those feelings every time they walk into a room. I don't want them in an album. I don't want a loose 8x10. I want something that they treasure. It's going to be prominently displayed in their home to remind them of what's important. I went off track again, didn't I?
Okay, so here's off track. I had a dad the other day who came in. They're a divorced couple, so mom and her boyfriend was there, and dad and his fiance were there. And so we were going through the images, and there was a couple images of the dad, who is kind of a jerk, kind of a pompous jerk. He literally said, "Ew." And I stopped him. I'm like, okay, you don't get to say "ew" about your daughter's image. You don't get to say that. You're her father. And I stopped him, and I was like, there's very few times that I have to step in, but I felt like that was the time that I had to step in, because a dad doesn't have the right to say "ew." It's not like she was scantily clad, laying over the top of a truck. It was just this total normal image of her, and he was like, "Ew." I'm like, that is such a bad descriptive word. It could mean so many things to a 17-year-old girl. Like, how much of a... No wonder you're divorced, dude.
And what sort of a conversation did you have with him before the shoot?
I didn't get to talk to him because the mom, the ex-wife, his ex-wife, is the one that scheduled everything, and he just basically strutted in to give his 2 cents and buy what he wanted to buy. She was like, he's totally out of the picture, but he's going to show up to this ordering appointment. So the day of the ordering appointment, he's decided he was going to show up.
At that point, I would be saying, well, if he's going to be at the ordering appointment, then I need to get his perspective on what he loves about his daughter, so I need his number. You don't need to contact him. I'll contact him. That is a result of somebody who's been shut out and somebody who hasn't been involved in the process, and they're using what you photographed to get more back at you than their daughter. And it's vindictive and it's awful and it's wrong, but they're basically saying, hey, all of a sudden, I'm here for my credit card, and you didn't ask me anything about what I wanted. You didn't take my opinion at all, so I'm going to be an asshole. And that's what happened.
Yeah, that's legit.
So we create that.
Yeah, I think that's spot on.
We totally create it, because usually we don't invite the men into this experience until we look over across that couch and say, that's going to be $3,000. How would you like to pay for that? Look at the man. And that's the first time we've ever looked at him.
I think that's just a little bit different, though, because they're divorced, and she was like, he's a total jerk, and he doesn't interact with his daughter. So for me to say, what's Dad's number, so that I can make him a part of this, would have probably been, I don't know, I think it would have been overstepping my bounds to say that this is an experience.
If she's bringing him to the sales appointment, it is not overstepping your bounds.
I agree. And you could have asked the senior herself, because if she's got a great relationship with her dad and loves her dad, then he's probably coming for her more so than his ex-wife. So I would be asking her for his number, not the ex-wife.
Yes.
Hey, Matt,
what me.
Well, I was just going to let everybody know that I'm more than just my credit card at a sales session, okay? Like as a man, I'm more than my credit card. I have a damn opinion at a sales session, and I want to be asked what my opinion is. Now, you don't have to evaluate it all, but you at least have to ask me. Come on.
But what would happen?
Assume it's the man.
What would happen to your opinion if your opinion was valued all the way through the experience from the very beginning, and we sought out what you valued about your children, what you love about your wife, what you see in them, and when you spend alone time with your daughter, and I don't know whether you have a daughter or not, but pretend you do, when you get to spend alone time, what are the things that you love the most about that time that you get to spend? And I know it doesn't happen often because you're a busy man, but when you actually do get to spend time with her, what do you love the most about spending that time with her? So had we had that conversation, what would happen to your opinions and your values during that sales session?
I would have been 100% on board, 100% on board. So
do you think you would be more on board at that point? Would you have been 100% on board at the same level? Well, 100% is 100%. But I'm trying to make a comparison between whether you were born in
and this is all hypothetical because I don't have kids, but if my opinion wasn't asked and then I had to show up and participate in something where my opinion wasn't valued, then yeah, I'm either going to sabotage it or I'm going to not be committed on a level that I should be. If my opinion is valued and someone asks me and I can actually be on that journey with them, then I'm way more inclined for it to be a completely positive experience from start to end.
Yeah. And usually what we find with the men that haven't been involved is that they feel as though they've been lured into a trap, and
Yep.
then the minute they feel that, yeah, the minute they feel that, okay, here it comes, up goes the armor. Don't worry, dear wife, I will save you from this ruthless salesperson, because obviously they tricked you and deceived you. So hang on here, I'm going to fight for the family. And we caused that because we didn't involve him in any of our conversations leading up to that. So, you know, a lot of the times when I hear this, look at the forums complaining about clients, it's like, well, you know, I can see all of the events that would have happened to have caused that. And if we can take blame and we can be a cause, then we're in control. We're in power. So being the source of the problem is really, and acknowledging that is a powerful thing, because you can change you. You can't change the client. So, you know, if you do get the eagle that comes in that's being a total
Asshat.
Asshat. Words.
I can't say it like that. Then
last month you used Nuff Nuff.
No, well, that's, you know, no, that we would probably call, you know, that sort of person a prick, really. But anyway, you'll have to edit that out.
That's so 90s.
So, you know, if you have that person come in and then you change your strategy, change the environment, then suddenly your outcome is going to be completely different. But it's about us as photographers and business people learning to adapt to every personality and our clients, and really taking pride in giving the best possible service to as many people as possible, not just to the people that we naturally are drawn to and naturally like. You know, clients are made, they're not found.
Okay, so when I'm doing when somebody calls me like, ring-a-ling-a-ling, I want to book my senior session for my daughter, senior portraits, we love your stuff, blah, blah, yakety schmackety, let's do this. So now I'm booking them, and it's mom, and we're talking about the daughter. Do I say, you know what, I would love to find out what Susie's dad loves about Susie. Is there any way that I can get a hold of him, or how can I reach, what would be a great time to talk to her dad to find out?
He's an asshat. He has no say.
What do you mean? So yeah, the thing is, so many women are like, you know what? He's just the checkbook. Like we keep Dad out of this. He doesn't even care. So how do you thwart that? Because that's what I hear from women. In fact, in the ordering appointment, they're like, Dad didn't come. We don't want Dad to be a part of this. We're gonna pay half and let him know that that's the full amount that we're paying, and we'll come up with the rest later. Like Dad is like specifically made a not part of this. So then if I say I really want to make Dad a part of this, am I over? I guess that's the biggest thing is how do I make it a part of it without saying like, okay, quit being a jerk. You need to involve your husband.
I could so change your world.
I know you.
I can so change your world, girl. Where do I even begin with that? You need to ask. You really need to ask some great questions to the wife about what her husband feels and what her husband sees in his daughter, because she needs to start trying to transport her brain into his and try to see his daughter through her daughter through his eyes. What will happen is that you'll get to the point that she just doesn't know. And what tends to happen is, do you know what? Here's his number. You give him a call. Or it's sort of leading to that anyway. So you know that's part of the goal, is to speak to the husband. And if that's part of the goal, if you ask her, you know, when he gets to spend alone time, what does he love the most? And then in that moment, you know, what does he see? You know, maybe they love, I don't know, you know, he doesn't really get to spend time with her, but you know, that once every 6 months that they do tend to get to spend time together, you know, and she doesn't know what that is, then she's going to give you permission. Women are huge gatekeepers. Don't believe the bullshit that they tell you, because when you get the guy on the phone, it's complete and utter crap. All that stuff they've been telling you, he will turn to mush, is what tends to happen to 85% of the guys. Some of them, genuinely, you know, they're just cavemen and haven't exited the cave, and, you know, you don't really want them as a client anyway, because what will happen is she'll go home and tell him how much they've spent, and then you have to deal with the phone calls afterwards. So, you know, you can't let the shoot go ahead until you've spoken to him. And we can make that happen if we genuinely care about what he thinks. And women are useless at talking about themselves. So don't bother talking about herself, because most women have such a filtered view of themselves. There's so much more to them than what they see in themselves. So normally asking their partner, you know, ask anyone, and even guys, you know, we don't see what's great in ourselves. Usually it's the other person that's fallen in love with them that sees so much more in them than they see in themselves.
What are you kidding me?
Oh, geez, okay.
There is so much potential in there, Cherie. I could change your world.
And this is a good place to wrap up, because that is like 3 more episodes. That would actually,
right. Yeah, totally.
That would actually be kind of fun. So that we are out of time, and this has been a great episode. Thank you all for joining us, and we will see you.
You didn't even get to speak. Thank you, guys. That was awesome.
That happens.
We're gonna get Tammy on like her own show where Tammy is the only guest.
I'm gonna interview Tammy.
The thing about Tammy that nobody knows is she is speaking right now. She is mind warping us all as we sit here and watch.
And she is actually one of the most interesting people I know. I actually enjoy talking to Tammy. So we're gonna have a Tammy show next time.
Yeah.
We are. Like it's like last year's event. Tammy started talking. We're like, oh my God, it changed.
I know, and everything just got quiet.
Well, Steve is brilliant. I mean,
he is. Yeah. You know what? 2 seconds.
Thank you.
So you guys have worked with Steve. What's like the biggest change he's made based on booking clients in your business?
asking the right questions.
But Tammy, I just want to know how much it costs.
It's priceless.
Yes, it's priceless, and you can email him at steve@steve.
Hey Tammy, how much has it cost you over the years not to have that education?
What's that?
How much has it cost you over the years not to have that education, do you think?
$76,400
per month.
That was last month.
Per month. Oh, that's awesome.
That
Awesome.
was awesome, yeah.
So I can't wait to see you guys at your event next year. What month is it in?
It is in February. Valentine's Day weekend. That's how I remember it.
It's going to be exciting.
It is. It is. Yep.
Cool.
All right. Well, we'll see you all after the shoot.
Hey,
Awesome.
Nancy, don't forget to post all that stuff you're going to talk about posting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm gonna post some.
People are like hanging out waiting for it right now.
I'm gonna post those links in the comment section.
Did we get any questions from the audience, or was I
We
just
did.
bombarded from you guys?
Oh no, we did. We actually answered like 4 of them. So
Cool. Awesome.
All right.
Right.
Thanks, everybody.
awesome.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye, y'all.